Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, how are you doing? Good morning, good afternoon. How are you feeling today? Finally, after long weeks, very long weeks, yeah, I am able to be with you again, to meet you again. Of course, still through online meetings like this, but however, I'm still hoping that all of you still have very high motivation to learn by yourselves, especially. And because I have finished the Latsar period, so today and on forwards, I'm hoping that I can be more active. I can meet you more often, especially through the discussions on Google Classroom. So I hope all of you will be also more active to ask questions or to answer the questions that I'm going to give you in the Google Classroom, because of course I'm going to assess how you are doing in this subject. Jadi saya juga akan memberikan penilaian pada teman-teman yang aktif untuk menjawab pertanyaan saya atau untuk bertanya juga tentang materi saya di Google Classroom. But please remember that if any of your friends asking questions, then it doesn't have to be me who answers the question, because all of you can also answer the question. Jadi kalau ada yang tanya, teman-teman ada yang tanya, nggak usah nunggu saya yang jawab, teman-teman bisa juga langsung memberikan jawaban gitu. Karena itu juga akan saya jadikan plus point ya, point plus. Okay, so today we are already on our 12th week. It is about phrases in English. So we have already studied about clauses, clausa, clause in English, and now we are going to learn, or we're going to find out how are phrases in English formed. Yeah, the types of phrases, and then how we understand the phrases in English. Okay, now let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, now these are the types of phrases in English. There are 5. The first one is noun phrase, and this is the abbreviation of noun phrase, NP. And this is the example, a very tall girl. So a phrase can consist of only one word or more than one word. So in this example, we have 4 words. There is a determiner here, and then an adjectives, and then the noun. However, if we unite them all, there will be one noun phrase. Jadi meskipun ada adjective di sini, ada determiner, but if we unite them all, jika kita satukan seperti ini, kita rangkai menjadi a very tall girl, then it will be one noun phrase. So this is a phrase. Please distinguish a phrase and a clause ya. Kita sudah tahu ciri-ciri sebuah klausa itu seperti apa di pertemuan sebelumnya, and now please understand the difference between a clause and a phrase. This is a phrase. And then the next one is verb phrase. Verb phrase, it is always it always becomes a predicator in a sentence. Yeah, this is the abbreviation VP, and this is the example walks, for example. So as I have said, a phrase can consist of only one word or more than one word. And the next one is adjective phrase. This is the abbreviation ADGP. Please remember to write the P in capital letter. Ya, jangan lupa ini harus dikapitalisasi P-nya. For example, so dazzlingly beautiful. Jadi, however, even we have an adverb here, dazzlingly is an adverb, but it is arranged with an adjective. So if we unite them all, so dazzlingly beautiful, it becomes an adjective. Meskipun sini ada adverb ya. Tapi jika kita satukan semua, kita arrange to become like this, so it becomes one phrase, one adjective phrase. And now adverb phrase. This is the abbreviation, ADV, P in capital P. The example is very slowly. And the next one, the last one is prepositional phrase, PP. And the example, for example, from the school. So from here is a preposition, yeah. So if you take a look at the examples here, you will note that there is always one main word for each phrase that define the phrase. For example, a very tall girl. Jadi mana satu kata, satu main word that defines the phrase. Ini adalah katanya ya, a girl. Because this one is the noun. Semuanya bukan noun, but the girl is the noun. So if we have already found the main word of a phrase, it means that this is the head of the phrase. Ini adalah head-nya. And then if the phrase only has one word like this, so it is already the head. Jadi ini sudah menjadi main word-nya atau head-nya. And this one too, the head or the main word of this phrase is beautiful. This is the adjective. This one too, slowly. And how about this one? From, yeah. The head is the preposition. Okay, so now I'm going to explain noun phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, and prepositional phrase because we have already learned about verb phrase, yeah, in the previous meetings. Okay, so now I'm going to explain about noun phrase. So these are the examples. For example, a teacher or just Ahmad. So this is example of one word, Ahmad. And then another example is the red book brought by my brother. So please, you have to really understand about the differences between a phrase, a clause, and a sentence. So if you find something like this, the red book brought by my brother. Jangan sampai disalahartikan ini sebagai clause atau sentence because this is not a clause and this is not a sentence. Karena ini hanya memiliki satu phrase. This is one phrase. Okay, so a noun phrase can consist of a determiner, a pre-modifier, a head, and a post modifier, but it doesn't have to be all of them. Jadi satu noun phrase bisa memiliki keempatnya atau memiliki hanya 3 atau cuma satu. Jadi cuma satu itu yang mana? Yang cuma satu pasti the head, ya, the main word. So for example, this one only has one head. And this one, a teacher only has one determiner and one head. But how about this one? So this one has the determiner, the, and then a pre-modifier, red. It is usually an adjective, yeah, an adjective. And then the head is always a noun in noun phrase. And then a post modifier. brought by my brother. A determiner, it can be in form of articles, numerals, 1, 2, 3. So it can be 1 book, 2 book, and then quantifier, this, that, those, etc. Demonstrative, all, some, any. So it can be some books or any book, etc. And possessive determiner, his, her, my, your, etc. And then a pre-modifier, it is always in form of adjective phrase and it is placed before a noun. So red is an adjective phrase too, and it is placed before a noun. And the head is the main word or the central element of a noun. And the post modifier, it can be a phrase or it can be a clause. This one is in form of clause, yeah. Or in form of phrase, I'm sorry. This one is in form of a verb phrase. Okay, so it is placed after a noun. Post modifier of a noun may be added to a noun phrase to help identify the head noun or to give extra information. For example, so please remember that a post modifier of a noun can be in form of a phrase or a clause. For example, the boy ahead. So ahead is in form of adverb. It is an adverb phrase. Or the boy in the room. In the room is a prepositional phrase. In is a preposition. The boy who walked into the room. Who walked into the room is a clause, yeah. It is a finite clause. And the boy living next door. So living, yeah, we have already learned about finite and non-finite clause. This one is a non-finite clause. And then the next one is ellipsis. Ellipsis is removing parts of a clause for a more efficient communication. So please remember that in using language to communicate with each other, humans tend to be more efficient. So in communication, of course, we want to say everything in the most efficient and the shortest way possible. Jadi nggak mungkin kita dalam berkomunikasi pengennya yang panjang-panjang terus, tapi kita selalu tend to be more efficient ya. Bagaimana caranya dalam komunikasi itu bisa singkat, padat, jelas. Nah, seperti itu. So in English, they tend to remove parts. Jadi ada beberapa parts yang dalam sinteks itu seharusnya itu ada, tetapi we omit them or we remove them, kita hilangkan seperti itu. Tetapi dalam sinteks itu tetap grammatically correct ya. Jadi this is not a grammatical error, but this is just in form of ellipsis. For example, who is Sandra? Who is the girl who lives next door? So actually, if we want to really grammatically correct in this sentence, who is Sandra? So Sandra should be explained more. We have to give extra information. So if we want to give extra information, harus ada who is the girl who lives next door. Harus ada who, something like that. So if we give this word, the post modifier will be a finite clause. Karena ada who-nya ya, who is the girl who lives next door. However, we tend to remove the who is. Oh, kok jadi where ini? Who is Sandra? The girl who lives next door. The girl who lives next door, it becomes a noun phrase karena udah nggak ada who is-nya. Nah, this is the next example. The student who has been sitting next to me all term is from Taiwan. Who has been sitting next to me all term is in form of finite clause. This is a clause. However, we can remove this part. The student sitting next to me all term is from Taiwan. So sitting next to me all term, it becomes a non-finite clause. Okay, so I hope you understand. Jadi jika teman-teman misalnya menemukan sebuah kalimat dalam bahasa Inggris yang seharusnya itu ada who has been or where bla 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 or which bla bla bla, tapi ternyata nggak ada di situ. Please understand that it doesn't have to be grammatically incorrect or a grammatical error, but it's just a form of ellipsis. Jadi dihapus di situ untuk lebih efisien. Okay, the next thing or the next phrase is adjective phrase. So please remember that I'm not going to explain verb phrase because we have already learned that in previous meetings. Okay, for example, good or very good at swimming. So an adjective phrase can contain one or a premodifier. It doesn't have to be one actually. So a premodifier can be more than one. And then the next one is a head and a post modifier. But please remember that it doesn't have to contain all the three. Jadi yang penting itu hanya satu headnya. Jadi premodifier itu dihilangkan tuh nggak apa-apa. Post modifier juga if we omit that it's also okay. So the premodifier in this example is very, and then the head should be an adjective, yeah, good. And then a post modifier at swimming, so very good at swimming. A premodifier of an adjective phrase, it should be an adverb phrase, and it is placed before the adjective. And the head is the central element, and it should be an adjective, and a post modifier can be in form of adverb phrase or prepositional phrase or a clause. Jadi ini adalah at swimmingnya itu post modifier. Okay, so now adverb phrase. So for example, slowly or very slowly that I almost fell asleep. Adverb phrase is almost similar to adjective phrase. It has 3 parts. It can contain 3 parts, but please remember that it can also contain less than 3. It can also has only one premodifier and a head, or a head and only a post modifier. But the most important part is the head, of course, yeah. The premodifier here is very, and the head, of course, it is in form of the adverb slowly, and then the post modifier that I almost fell asleep. This is in form of a clause. Okay, so these are the explanation. The post modifier, it can be in form of adverb phrase, a prepositional phrase, or a clause. And the premodifier, it is also in form of adverb or adverb phrase. And then this is the last one, prepositional phrase. For example, from the school. Prepositional phrase, it can contain 2 parts. The first one is the head, which is always in form of the preposition, a preposition, and then a complement. Okay, so from this, for this phrase, prepositional phrase, it must contain 2 parts. Jadi kalau yang sebelumnya itu bisa head-nya saja, but this one it should contain 2 parts. Jadi harus ada keduanya ini. Karena kalau cuma from aja atau in aja or just on or at apa gitu, harus ada complementnya. Jadi ini from aja gitu, from apa kita kan nggak tahu. Jadi kita harus we have to add the complement from the school. So the head it is always in form of a preposition, and the complement it should be a phrase or a clause that is like a noun. Jadi it should be a noun. It can be a noun phrase or a clause that looks like a noun. Okay, everyone, that's all for today. And now we're going to have a discussion in the Google Classroom. So I'm going to give you some questions, and I hope that all of you can answer them. All of you, ya, semuanya. I hope that every one of you can answer the questions. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to see you in the Google Classroom. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.